Good morning, beautiful homemakers. We are beginning Chapter 11 of Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood. Secret number 8. Femininity delights a man. David came home from school on Friday, waving the wooden scepter he had made for his father and looking pleased with himself. "Mom, I've finished it!" he shouted. The scepter was about a meter long. David had shaped it using the school woodworking lathe. It had varying curves, like an expensive curtain rod. He had also flattened off a part in the middle and burned in the words, "Dad the King." Angela was thrilled with how it had turned out. She praised David as she admired it. "You've done a lovely job, David. I'm very proud of you. We can stain and varnish it tomorrow before we give it to Dad." David grinned and flushed with pride. On Saturday afternoon, Angela showed David how to stain the wood a rich shade of mahogany, using stain and a small cloth. Then she let him brush on a coat of clear varnish. It was dry by evening. David wanted to take it around to his father that night. "No, David, we'll take it around to him during the week," said Angela. Sunday evening Angela baked 2 chocolate cakes, one for Ted and one for David and Tiffany. On the following day, Monday, while at school, Angela asked a fellow teacher to phone Ted's workshop and asked to speak to the apprentice. Then Angela took over the phone. "Is that you, Alex?" "Yes, who's speaking?" "It's me, Angela, Ted's wife." "Oh, yeah." "Alex, my children and I are planning a surprise for Ted tonight around at his flat. I just want to be sure that he'll be there. What time does he normally leave to go home? He's not listening, is he?" No, he's out talking with a customer. Oh, I don't know. He normally leaves here about 5:30. Sometimes he goes for a beer, but he'll probably go straight home tonight, being a Monday." "Okay, Alex, that sounds good. Don't say a word to him. But if it looks as though he's going to work late, can you phone me at home after 3:30? I'm still in the phone book under Ted's name." "Yeah, okay. Bye, Alex." That evening Angela put on her new pink dress. She also clipped into her hair a white ribbon that she had folded into the shape of a flower. She felt highly anxious. 10 minutes before 6 p.m., Angela and her 2 children, David and Tiffany, drove around to Ted's flat. Angela saw his van parked up the driveway. So far, so good. Oh, I hope he's alone. Ever since Ted had left, Angela had dreaded the day she would find him with another woman. They left their car out on the street and walked up the gravel driveway to Ted's flat. Angela carried the chocolate cake. David held the scepter. Angela felt her heart pounding as she knocked on the door. The door opened immediately. Ted was still in his overalls and looked highly surprised to see them. He smiled when he saw the chocolate cake. "What's all this about?" he said, still smiling. "Look what I've made, Dad," said David, excitedly waving the scepter and nearly hitting Tiffany in the face. "It's from all of us," said Angela. "Where shall I put your chocolate cake, Ted?" Come in." He opened the door wide. Angela was enormously relieved to see that Ted was alone. As she walked inside, she sensed an atmosphere of loneliness within the 2-roomed, cheaply furnished flat. Ted had been reading the paper at the table. There was no sign of a meal being prepared. Angela suddenly felt an overwhelming sorrow for Ted. A lump came to her throat. She put the cake on the kitchen bench. The children were chatting with Ted while he admired the scepter. Angela wondered what she should do next, and whispered a prayer for guidance. As she did so, a strange confidence seemed to come over her. She walked over to Ted. "David, Tiffany, that's enough now. Your father has had a busy day. Ted, that scepter is a symbol from all of us. It shows that we accept you as the leader and king of our family. If you decide to come home and look after us, we all promise to follow your leadership 100%. Angela saw Ted's eyes fill with tears at these words and quickly looked away so as not to embarrass him. The children didn't appear to notice. "David and Tiffany, you sit over there and watch Dad's TV. Let him change and rest while I cook him a nice meal." Ted seemed pleasantly surprised and somewhat dazed. Without saying a word, he went into his bedroom to change, while Angela looked in the cupboards and fridge for some food. When Ted came back out, Angela went up to him and squeezed his hand and said, "You sit and finish reading the paper. Would a nice omelet with onion be okay? And some yogurt and fruit for dessert?" "Yes, that would be lovely, Angie," said Ted, still looking dazed. He picked up the newspaper and sat down on the couch. Tiffany and David immediately went and sat on either side of him. He put the paper down and put his arms around them both. Then he said, "Pass me over that scepter, David. Let's have a closer look." A little while later, Angela put the plate with Ted's omelet on the table, along with the yogurt and fruit salad dessert. She also cut him a slice of the chocolate cake. "Your omelet's ready, Ted." Ted was now reading his newspaper, and the children were watching TV. Ted folded the newspaper, picked up his scepter, and sat down at the table. He laid the scepter on top of the table, looked at his food, and smiled. "This looks really good, Angie. Smells good, too." Angela's feminine instinct told her it was now time to leave. "Come on, David. Come on, Tiffany. Turn the TV off and let's go and leave Dad to eat in peace." "Can we have a piece of cake before we go, Mom?" "We've got our own cake at home, David. That's Dad's cake." Then she handed David the car keys and said quietly, "Please go and wait out in the car." When they had gone, Angela took a deep breath and then went over to Ted at the table. She put her arm around his shoulders and kissed his prickly cheek. "Goodbye, Ted. I love you so much." As she closed the door behind her, she heard Ted break into enormous sobs. She didn't turn around, but hurried down the gravel driveway to the car. Tuesday evening, Angela was thrilled when her brother Robert phoned. He thanked her for the letter she sent him and apologized for the way he had treated her in the past. Angela was amazed at the warmth and personality in his voice. Totally different from the cold monotone he normally used toward her. It was uncanny how much like her father he sounded. Wednesday evening, Angela ate her usual light meal. She had done this now every evening since last week's class. David and Tiffany did not think this was a good idea and ate their normal large meal, especially David. Angela, however, was convinced it was wise to cut down her food. She had been sleeping more soundly and waking up more alert each morning. Already she was feeling much lighter and more lively, and her clothes were looser on her body. To attend the Fascinating Womanhood class tonight, she chose to wear her pink dress and white ribbon flower instead of the slacks she normally wore. Although a gusty wind was blowing and the sky overcast, she again decided to walk to her class. "It's good for my figure," she said to her mother, who expressed concern. "Cherry will give me a ride home afterwards." Despite the wind, Angela enjoyed her walk. Her mind was serene. She was pleased that she had not lost her temper once during the past week. When Angela walked into the classroom and sat down, she saw that most of the women were wearing more feminine clothing and hairstyles than previously. Bev had recolored her orange hair a natural brunette shade, and instead of it being frizzy and sticking out, she wore it styled closer to her head in gentle waves. She also wore 2 long gold earrings. Angela thought she looked quite regal. Even Bev's normal, florid complexion seemed a healthier hue. Sonia had plaited her long brown hair into 2 plaits and wore a pale yellow ribbon in each. Beth wore a conservative, amber-colored hairband. Diane had completely lost her tense look and was conversing animatedly with Helena. "How radiant they all look tonight," thought Angela. She felt elated inside and smiled at the other women and relaxed. "Good evening, class," said Harmony, the teacher. Angela was surprised to see that tonight she had her silver hair in a ponytail and wore a striking ankle-length white skirt with lace frills circling it at intervals. "I must say you all seem to be aglow tonight, and I see some very feminine hairstyles. Was I right about men's tastes and women's hairstyles?" Elsie spoke. "Well, I must admit I had my doubts. I've always worn my hair short, but I finally plucked up enough courage to ask my husband to tell me the truth about what hairstyle he prefers. You'll never guess what he said. He said he would like to see me in a ponytail. Me? A grandmother in a ponytail?" I just laughed. I thought he was kidding me, but he wasn't. Then I come along tonight, and what do I see? My teacher, who's also a grandmother, wearing a ponytail. Anyway, I've decided to let my hair grow a little longer for a start, but I don't know that I could possibly wear it in a ponytail. What would other women think? The teacher laughed and flipped her ponytail. "Come on now, Elsie, be daring. Fascinating Womanhood teaches us to please our husbands, not other women." "Well, that's enough about hair. Have we all started our exercise programs? And have we got our nutrition sorted out?" Bev said, "Well, I don't know about the others, teacher, but you fired me up to beat this weight problem once and for all, so guess what? I've taken up jogging." Some of the class laughed. The teacher didn't. "Good on you, Bev," she beamed. "Tell us more." "Well, I've been out 3 nights now. I don't dare run in the daylight. I wait until it's nice and dark. The first 2 times I went out, I could only jog slowly for about a minute at a time. Then I'd be puffing like a steam engine. So I would walk and then run again for about a minute. But on the 3rd night, guess what? I ran for 3 minutes without stopping. How's that for progress? Gee, I felt good as I showered afterward. Now I'm going to save up and buy myself some proper running shoes. Then I'll keep it up until I can run for a half hour without stopping, just like when I was at school. I used to love athletics. So if any of you ladies happen to see a hippopotamus jogging past your house late at night, you'll know who it is." "Bev, you keep that up for a few months, and none of us will recognize you. How does your husband feel about this?" "Ha! He laughed at first, but now that he can see I'm serious, he's encouraging me. He says he'll buy me a new dress and take me on a holiday if I can get as slim as I was when he married me. He's really changed. We're all going to AA now, and you know, he rang them himself. I didn't ask him. He hasn't had a drink now for 2 weeks, and he's saving his money. He's even sold our motor mower and bought a push mower so he can get some exercise too." "Oh, Bev, I'm so pleased to hear that." Angela could see the tears shining in the teacher's eyes. "Now don't you give up your jogging, whatever you do. You're a real inspiration. I'm going to call on you to visit some of our future classes to share your experience." "Can I share one now? Things are really starting to happen in our home." "Certainly. Come on up." Bev, a true experience. Before taking this fascinating womanhood course, I had just about given up on my marriage. In fact, 2 days before my first class, I had been to see a lawyer about getting a divorce from my husband. He was unbearable. He drank too much, had no interest in us, and each weekend would take off and spend most of his wages. When I told him I had seen a lawyer, he begged me with tears in his eyes not to leave him. Then I had my first FW lesson on acceptance. It was a blow to self-sacrificing me. I had to admit I made mistakes too. Could it have been my fault all along for not accepting him? So finally I told him I accepted him the way he was. I said I had made a lot of mistakes in our marriage and would sincerely try to do better. A wonderful, shocked expression appeared on his face, and he said, "You mean I can go out and spend all the money and you won't care?" He hasn't gone out one time since I've been applying the secrets. I still have a lot of work to do, but our marriage has become better each week. Oh, that's excellent, Bev. I'm so proud of you. I commend you for what you're doing. Anybody else? Diane, come on up. Diane, a true experience. When I came to secret number 7 and I started to pay more attention to my appearance, my husband started to compliment me all the time, which made my self-esteem and confidence improve immensely. Recently my husband left early one morning to visit his mother. When I got out of bed, I found love notes stuck all over the house for me. I then realized just how happy our marriage had become since living Fascinating Womanhood. Isn't that lovely, class? Diane, remember to write what each of those love notes say in your love book, or even stick the notes themselves in your book. I just love reading my own love book. Now, let's put tonight's secret on the board. This secret builds on last week's secret number 7, on making the most of ourselves. It teaches us how to be noticed and admired and liked by nearly all men, especially our husbands. And with that, we will leave off and start a new video